Welcome back to a Munchausen's Proxy, and this is my promised review for Poker Face on Peacock. Poker Face is a procedural starring Natasha Lyonne that is in similar vein to the old Quantum Leap show, The Incredible Hulk, A-Team. There's not a whole lot of these around anymore, at least on mainstream TV, but it used to be a fairly good staple of television back in the 70s and 80s. And the basic premise is you have a small cast, usually a handful or less main characters, and you would have some recurring characters that sort of help keep the through line of the story, and then you would have a rotating cast of guest characters around whom the story of the week would generally revolve. Often most of these shows had changing locations and situations. It wouldn't be the same thing every week. In the case of Poker Face, you have Natasha Lyonne playing Charlie Cale, who is the only main cast on the show, and she has a strange ability to always know when somebody is lying. And it doesn't matter about what, it doesn't matter if she's watching them on the TV, listening to them on telephone, or watching them or listening to them in person. She just knows they're lying. And before the show, apparently she had used this to basically run on the circuit of low to medium stakes poker games until she got to Nevada, where she wound up running afoul of a casino owner by the name of Frost. Now, instead of killing her, he basically put her in a box, which is to say he made her a server in the casino and made sure she basically couldn't use her ability at all for anything lucrative. Now, the story starts out with the son who runs the casino she works in coming up with a scheme in which he is going to fleece one of the whales that come into his father's casino. And he wants to use Charlie to do that. And in order to do that, he's going to set her up in a room with monitors that are getting feeds from cameras around the room in which this whale is going to play. And she's going to read whether the players are bluffing or not, and tell the guy that they have in the room playing how to bet. Now, at the same time, you have her friend, who is a maid in the casino, wind up seeing something she shouldn't see in the whale's room. And they never really come out and say it, but apparently it was some kind of kiddie porn on his laptop or snuff film or something even somebody like the casino owner's son would find repugnant. But the guy is a whale for the casino, and so he's going to protect the whale. And he winds up having the woman killed, and made it look like her husband killed her and then killed himself. And she had had a problem where he came to her place of work a few days before and made a scene. And so that basically set up the idea that it would be perfectly natural for him to kill the wife and then kill himself. You have, in this first episode, Adrian Brody playing the casino boss's son. And then you have Benjamin Bratt playing the chief of security, Cliff Legrand, at the casino. Now, I don't think you see him, at least not fully, in the first episode, but Ron Perlman plays the casino boss. And what happens is Charlie begins hearing the lies in the story that Adrian Brody and Benjamin Bratt are telling to sort of cover up this murder. And she realizes they had her friend killed. She confronts the two of them, and Adrian Brody basically realizes he's screwed and does a header out of the window of his office. And Benjamin Bratt, realizing that she knows he killed her friend on the orders of his boss, tries to kill her. Well, she winds up having to go on the run. And that sets up the entire series. And she gets a call from Ron Perlman's character, basically telling her that he was gracious enough to let her live the first time. This time, it's not going to be so nice when he catches up with her. And so she keeps on the move, doesn't use her ATM card or anything like that, gets, small cash-only jobs as she moves around. And that sort of sets up how the show winds up going. And the first episode was good enough that I was surprised that I wanted to see where it was going. So the first one is very intriguing, and the series is overall pretty good. I was surprised because the trailer tempted me to see the first episode, and the first episode tempted me to watch the rest of the series. But I was surprised because it's from the idiotic mind of Rian Johnson, who, of course, helped destroy Star Wars. And it has... I'm not saying the show is particularly well written. I think I like it more for the performances of the actors in it than I do the style of the show, because it did get somewhat formulaic in the first few episodes after she winds up on the run. And it has this weird reverse plot line where you see the murder she winds up getting herself involved with before the show rewinds to the point where she actually sort of is inserted into the events that surround the murder. The episodes that follow the premiere are sort of all over the map. There are some really good ones. 5 and 8 were particularly good. 5 was about a couple of 70s radicals that Charlie befriends in an old folks home who wind up whacking a fellow resident. And so she winds up getting involved in that. And then episode 8 involved Nick Nolte as a haunted special effects master who wound up thinking he killed somebody on a set of a movie by accident. Charlie goes to work for him, and basically the guy winds up getting killed, and she figures out what happened. There's still a couple episodes left in the season, but I wanted to do a review of it because I'm pretty sure it's going to get better as it goes on. Natasha Lyonne is settling into the role, and the guest actors have just seemed to get better as the series has gone on in this first season. The pros are some really interesting stories with excellent guest stars. I mean, the guest star list is just off the charts good. I mean, you had Benjamin Bratt, Ron Perlman, Nick Nolte, Judith Light, Esapatha Merkerson, and just some really quality character actors. And you also have Natasha Lyonne, who is just really settling into the role of Charlie very well. She does go a little heavy on her Columbo impersonation. And so if you've seen Columbo, you will notice it. If you haven't seen Columbo, she's probably going to knock your socks off because she's great. The cons of the show, it's a little formulaic, especially episodes like 2, 3, and 4, where they really relied heavily on the formula to get through. Like I mentioned earlier, there is some writing and directing issues that can get a little over the top. It's like the directors, one of whom is Rian Johnson. The directors want the actors to do things in a certain way, whereas if they just let these really good actors act instead of overact, the show would be probably much better. And then, like I said, Rian Johnson is involved, and I really have no idea how that guy has the reputation in Hollywood that he has, given that he has such a sparse filmography, and what is in there is really mixed bag. I mean, above and beyond the whole Last Jedi debacle, The Glass Onion, those movies seem to be like hit or miss as well. If you liked Last Jedi or didn't care, you probably like Glass Onion. If you couldn't stand The Last Jedi, you're probably not going to like the Glass Onion series. Especially this last one. This last one, I heard more people complaining about how convoluted and just absolutely stupid some of the writing and directing choices were. And I can see some of that in this series as well. But the performances are just, they sort of overpower the cons. It's not an absolutely wonderful series that I'm telling everybody they should watch because they'll enjoy it. But if you like procedurals, if you like quirky characters, if you like Natasha Lyonne in particular, then you'll probably like this. If you don't like procedurals and you don't like Natasha Lyonne or some of the other actors that guest star on this show, you're probably not going to like the show because it does rely heavily on the actors, especially Natasha Lyonne and the guest actors who appear in it, because, like I said, the writing is not exactly its strong suit. The stories overall are good. It's the details that get you, and that seems to be a Rian Johnson hallmark. So I don't know. I'm gonna stick this season out. Like I said, there's only 2 more episodes left. It has been renewed by Peacock for a second season. And if they can get someone whose head is not so far up his ass that he thinks he's the best thing since sliced bread as far as directors go and writers go to sort of rein in Rian Johnson, then this show could probably get even better. I think I'll wrap that up here. If you like what I do here, please hit the like button, share the video, subscribe to the channel, do all the YouTube things. I really appreciate it. I'm probably going to be working on a series of videos about some of the Oscar nominated movies in the next week or two, since the Oscars are coming up sometime around middle of March, I think. So I haven't seen too many of them because the Oscars like to give awards to movies that are of late. And so I have seen a few of them, and I'm going to do a few videos on the ones that I have seen. Until then, tschüss.